This video is going to cover materials and different types of materials within one job and how to set default settings for a particular material type or material style. So we have a job here that has two different materials. One is 3/4 inch plywood 2 and the other is plywood. So first on plywood 2, as we scroll through, we have a total of 3 sheets. And just make notice that there is no machining. We have no holes, no dados, or anything on the sheet. It was purposely nested out this way to allow these parts to go to a saw. And then if we look at our other material, we have material here, and all the parts on these particular sheets, a total of 6, all have some sort of machining that needs to be completed on them. So these parts would be done and saved out to go to a flatbed router. Also notice that between the two different material types, that the XY origin has changed. For this particular machine, the home or the XY00 location is the upper left. That makes positive X motion moves and then negative Y moves. So again, flipping back and forth between these two material types could be done by using the drop-down menu. We're going to now take a look at what is our default material and what material we may have in a material library or database. So let's take a look at our settings and go to Material List, or we could just click Material List. That was Nest, or just click the Material button on the button tab. Currently, I only have two types of material entered in, 0.75 plywood, and this is where we have the origin in the upper left, and we have the nesting style set to be the lower panel saw. Part spacing is set, and the edge spacing is set for this particular material type. We could also allow rotation if we had material that did not have grain. So the only material that we have entered into our library that we're currently using is the 0.75 plywood. So what that means for our other plywood, the plywood 2, is using our default settings found under settings, using our default sizes here, and then our default size for what we have for our machine origins, any offsets, where we're zeroing, and how we are nesting. So again, the library, and the reason why this is set to the upper left, that is because in our material settings, I have for the 3/4 inch plywood, the origin to be the upper left. So that is all set for the router. We now need to set up for the saw, knowing that the material that's being used for the saw is using default material in our default settings. I'm just going to go into our settings and click settings, and I want to also collect beam saw cuts. So once we set that, we could close. And when we go ahead and nest this, it will also create any saw motion or any cuts that we need to have for the beam saw. So when we go to then calculate this for the router or for the saw, notice that we do not have any calculations here offset for the router bits. But if we go to the 3/4 inch plywood, we do have all the offsets for the drilling in the saw, or the drilling and the cutting that's going to be going to the router. So this material listing that we have now is allowing us to go from output to one machine and output to another and mix match and set different cutting operations based on material type and the material name that we have entered in.